Hello and welcome to Out of India Theory. Hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to express some random thoughts that came to my mind today. See, as human beings, we are multidimensional, right? Now, this is a fact that we, in our daily lives, don't really acknowledge or believe in. But it is a fact that we don't exist in just a physical world. So there are the mental, the emotional, and spiritual aspects of our being which form a complete personality. They are routinely overlooked simply because they're very subtle or hidden away from everyday conscious experience and somehow absent from our transactional lives. It's kind of drowned out in the noise of, having to just survive a day to day. And yet, I feel like this is very critical to realize that they form the stage, the very substratum upon which the physical exists. So the physical world that we live in is not just like an isolated island, but it forms but a sliver, but a narrow part of this continuum of vibrational existence of which, we are just, I wouldn't say the bottom, but somewhere in the bottom middle. And there are so many aspects of our being that are away from our conscious experience, right? And here's why this is important, because everything that happens in the region that you cannot see and feel immediately, the subtle and the energetic realms, they inevitably percolate down into the physical, and they manifest in the form of thoughts, actions, and through actions finally as solid forms. And they manifest as, of feelings and emotions and even diseases and imbalances in many cases. And also this relationship is obviously not one way. It's just as the higher energies and the deeper dimensions express themselves down into the world of matter, our own intention and thoughts and emotions and actions, they kind of reverberate outward, influencing the greater whole of which we are a part. So through our actions, humanity, we also influence the other dimensions and the other worlds, which also explains why, for example, the way we treat our planet, the fellow human beings, and violence and war and nuclear explosions, they invite attention from ethereal beings and non-human intelligence and so on. And so there is a ceaseless reciprocity between the visible and the invisible, right? Between the individual and the universal. And add to this the fact that our thoughts are constantly creative. So whether you're aware of it or not, we are constantly creating with our mind, with our thoughts. So to borrow a term from physics, we are at the wave front of an expanding wave of creative universe. And the greatest tragedy of our world is this narrow field of vision of human consciousness, of human awareness. This severely restricts and limits our field of action and our scope of action. And just as the physical contains so much beauty, the tyranny of the physical is also that it anchors and weighs us down with sensory experience to such an extent that we become absorbed in it and forget to widen our awareness, right? So we forget our true nature. In a sense, it is a trap. Many traditions look at it as some kind of trap, the veil of Maya, that needs to be unraveled and the veil to be lifted. But at the same time, we have to realize that this is a pact that we made, an agreement that we silently made with ourselves in order to conserve energy, to place our attention in a very limited sliver of existence, right? But at the same time, it's not really that bad, because you are free to exit from it, and you're free to expand and sort of look over and under and beyond your immediate physical experience anytime you want. It is up to you. And paradoxically, it is only through the physical that we can open ourselves to greater awareness, because embodiment provides the very ground upon which consciousness can awaken to itself. And this is why many traditions, many wisdom traditions regard human birth as something exceedingly rare and precious. Hinduism and Buddhism, they all talk of human birth being, one of the greatest blessings bestowed through divine grace. And even the people of the beings of the celestial realms, despite all the splendor and the delights that it offers, they cannot readily ascend in the way that a human being can. So they are in a way jealous of the human experience, and many of them sort of come down to the embodied world to experience life here. And human existence, in a way, it's a little bit like this concept in engineering that I remember. It's called tensegrity, like this exact balance of constraint, weight, and freedom that keeps something in equilibrium, right? So the human existence offers a remarkable balance of just enough limitation and perceived suffering to provoke inquiry, and just enough freedom to help you pursue truth and expand. And if we were to make an effort to widen our awareness beyond the confines of the physical, and we would begin to perceive all the hidden interdependencies and the subtle, marvelous ways in which the unseen affects the seen, and all the beauty and the power that is accessible to us. And we discover that consciousness is not just confined to the mind, and that life extends beyond what is immediately apparent to the senses, and that we are active participants in a very profound and ongoing dialogue between the infinite and the finite.